everybody, this is Brad Bruce, and I am here with
Jase Marsiglia.
And you're listening to the 5195 podcast.
Player 2 has entered the game. Fight!
What do you mean?
I mean, insert quarter to continue.
I don't have a quarter. Theater of the mind.
Is there a... Hold on. Can you slide a card?
Let's see.
I guess we go home.
Okay. I thought that was a quarter.
Mom didn't give us any money for the arcade today.
So, you brought up a idea for a show.
You know, I'm starting to feel like the brains of this operation.
Starting?
Yeah.
It only took, almost 70 episodes for you to realize that?
I'm like, how many episodes have started with, you brought me an idea? I'm starting to sound like a real pitchman, and I'm not really good at that.
Really? Okay, well.
It's something I need practice with.
Okay, well, I think it's bullshit, but all right, cool.
Okay.
We'll go with that. We'll go with that. So earlier I came up with a great idea to have you come up with an idea, and you did.
I like that more.
You came up with,
arcades, man. We're probably, I would say, maybe one generation behind us. It's probably the last ones to really enjoy them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because that was a staple for us 80s kids, man. The arcade was just the place to be.
Mm-hmm. Now, your local arcade, was it a standalone or was it attached to something?
I had two.
Okay.
One of them was a standalone called the Red Baron, and it was shaped like a fucking barn. And literally the sign, the light up sign out front that was on the street, had Snoopy on his fake airplane doghouse thing.
Uh-huh.
So it was, you know, it was kind of named after the Peanuts comic thing. And then the other one, if you can even call it this, I had a place out by me called Caesarland.
Okay.
It was a Little Caesars joint.
Pizza.
The pizza place. But it was like a massive funhouse kind of thing where you could run around these halls and, you know, climb on things and all this.
Mm-hmm.
Next to that was like your dining area where you can get your pizza and all that. But around the corner was a fairly big room of arcade games.
Mm-hmm.
And once I was too old to be climbing all over shit, usually I would split my time. I'm just going to wear myself out climbing all over and jumping and all this shit. And then I'll go play at the arcade for a while. Once you reach a certain age, your younger brothers go do that and you're going to chill in the arcade all day and just play games. So whether or not I call that one an arcade, I feel like it was an arcade room, but Red Baron was a building of just arcades. It was a standalone joint in I think Taylor, Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
But it was super fucking cool. There's something about the arcade. It's a dark room with lights all over the place. All these giant cabinets with really fucking loud systems usually, you know. Just people popping quarters in and playing for hours, you know. It's something I just feel is so lost on new generations who are just sitting behind the computer or their tablet or whatever. Granted, the offshoot was home entertainment, Atari, Nintendo, all that stuff. And we loved that too. But there was nothing like going to the arcade and standing in front of this cabinet with just this cool looking screen, and the effects were they're so antiquated today, but they were the coolest things ever when you were a kid. It was a badass thing, dude. It was just so much fun.
My introduction to, it wasn't even an arcade. In Texas, I had family that worked at a 7-Eleven. So I would go as a little kid and hang out with them, and they had I think a Miss Pac-Man.
Yeah.
And another, maybe a racing game or something in the 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
And I would just go in there and play that all the time.
Yeah.
That was my introduction to an actual machine.
The cabinet.
Yeah. And then when I moved to California, I would go a lot with my cousin, and they had a standalone. It was crazy because his dad would just take us there and each give us a fucking ton of quarters, and he would just sit in the parking lot. And he
Really?
would just let us go do our thing.
Which is funny because this is pre-cell phone, so it's not like he could just sit out there and thumb through his phone.
No. He literally would just sit there and wait for us to go in there and, blow through all these quarters, and we'd be in there for an hour or two, and, sometimes we would go faster, come out, get more money, and go back in. And,
wow.
Yeah, but you're right. Just those, there's nothing like the sound of an arcade.
It's chaotic, it's loud, and you probably couldn't have been happier. It was just...
My most memorable arcade, though, for me, that really just stuck with me, that it was like, fuck, this is home.
Okay.
Is, here in the town I live in, my family used to be in a bowling league, like with their company.
Really?
So let's just say every, Tuesday night, I spent it at the bowling alley.
Okay.
And they were doing their leagues, and they had, obviously the snack bar, and then they had a badass arcade.
Yeah.
In the bowling alley.
Mine wasn't that. Mine was more of a pinball room.
Okay. Yeah.
But again, next to the bowling alley, So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it was cool because it was before the days of like tickets and prizes. It was just you were playing games. That was it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
You weren't winning anything. You weren't just blowing through money. You were actually playing video games.
You were trying to beat it.
Yeah.
Which is, as we all know, is damn near impossible. And most of these video games, some of my favorites anyway, the best you could kind of hope for was to beat the game and it would just go back to the first level.
Yeah.
And you're like, fuck, I thought there'd be a lot more fanfare, but you just want me to beat the last score.
And don't forget, you could put your initials up there.
Yep.
Then you would come back the following Tuesday to see if your initials were still there.
Yep.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was cool, man. Did you ever make a beeline for any certain games?
I did. So I loved Donkey Kong.
Me too. To me, that is arcade royalty.
It is.
That is just, to me, if I had fuck you money,
yeah,
I would buy my own Donkey Kong cabinet. That would be my arcade cabinet.
I'll make a note of that.
Yeah.
We got to make that happen.
We got to make it happen. I want a Donkey Kong cabinet.
Yeah. It was that one, and then it was Donkey. There was 3 that I was just like obsessed with, and one of them was just completely fucking stupid, but it was just so much fun to me. One of them was the Popeye video game.
I don't think I ever played it. I played Popeye for Nintendo. I never played the arcade.
I mean, I think it was almost the same thing, I believe.
Yeah.
But it was goofy. It was silly,
Yeah.
That one, and then Miss Pac-Man. I loved Miss Pac-Man. Like there was just so much. It was so much more fun than Pac-Man, in my opinion.
Okay, because I'm gonna sound like a complete moron right now. I think of Wayne's World when he goes, "Well, Mrs. Pac-Man has a bow on her head," and that's the big difference. What is the difference?
I feel like there was, and this, now I'm gonna sound like an idiot, but
because I'm sure what is it? The layout?
There was layout. There were different levels. The music was different.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah. The what do you call them? Like
the ghosts?
The little scenes, the intercut scenes
between levels.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those were cool.
Were they?
Yeah, they were fun.
Okay.
And plus, I was a fan of the cartoon.
Oh, I forgot about the 80s cartoon. Yeah.
I was a big fan of that cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
And what I had always wanted was the pizza parlor Miss Pac-Man table.
The one where you could just sit down and it's flat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you could eat on it, and then you were playing your games on it.
Yep. Those were cool.
I want one of those.
That was a staple of like Pizza Hut.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we did have an arcade here in town.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the name. I want to say it was like Yellow Brick Road or something like that. I think that's what it was. And it was by a movie theater.
Okay.
And so it was like Friday, Saturday was basically spent hopping between the arcade and the movie theater. Everything I needed was right there.
Right there in the hub.
Yeah. It's like we could go to the movies, and then we're at the arcade. And that's literally how I spent a lot of Fridays and Saturdays when I first got here, was going to those 2 places.
That's pretty cool.
So yeah.
It's such a simple thing though, but it's
very simple.
Such a core memory.
Yeah. And what's cool is it's like, I remember, my dad handing me like $20 and I was good for the whole night.
Oh,
and that's movie included. It's like,
it was it was such a cheap way to entertain ourselves,
And now today they have that round 1 everywhere, which is like this massive arcade, but it's got like bowling, like a bowling alley, a billiards room. It's got like,
really?
Yeah. And I mean, last time I went there, I took my kids and they load everything up on cards. And I remember it's like, wow, we spent about $500 loading these, like, and it's like,
shit.
Each swipe is like, oh, to play this game is like 11 credits. It's not just a quarter.
Damn.
So it's like, whoa, this isn't fun.
Ugh,
It's like you're spending all this money and you're going in there and they don't really have the classic games. A lot of it's like prize oriented.
Yeah.
Where you're there to win shit.
Okay.
And I'm like, I'm not really into that.
Me
I want to
neither.
play games. I want to play the consoles.
Me too,
like
yeah.
The cabinets. That's what I want to play.
I didn't really get too invested in ones where, the tickets were being coughed out at you.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. But, no, I had a few, that I would always make a beeline to. Obviously, Donkey Kong.
Mm-hmm.
That was just, what a great way to kill some time.
Yeah,
it was just, it was fun. I loved the visuals, all of it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was great. But I also was a huge fan of the Midway game Rampage.
Oh.
Did you play Rampage?
I did.
You could be basically what I called King Kong, Godzilla, and a werewolf.
Mm-hmm.
And the entire point of the game was just to climb buildings and smash the fuck out of them.
Yeah.
And the horror fan in me loved it because it was basically a kaiju game.
Mm-hmm.
But it was hilarious because you wouldn't die. You would just shrink into a naked human, and then cover your bits and just kind of exit stage left.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
It was so funny to me. But Rampage was just good, mindless entertainment with really cool looking monsters. Yeah, literally the whole point was just climb a building and beat the shit out of it before losing your lives, quote unquote, or the time running out, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So
it was always time-based.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think you had to wreck the entire city or section of the city before time ran out, or that was a loss. So, yeah, no, I fucking loved Rampage.
What about Tron? Did you ever play Tron?
No, not really.
No?
Nope, not big into Tron.
It's funny because the Tron game at our arcade at the bowling alley never got love.
Really?
It was always open. And so I think that's why I did play it a lot, because it was like, well, it's the only one open.
No kidding.
And I actually got into it, and it was fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what did you have to do for Tron?
I mean, it was essentially just the racing game. You know what I mean? It was just you're on the bikes.
Okay.
That's essentially what it boiled down. It was cool because it was more or less the visuals of the game, because it looked like the movie.
Okay.
So I think that's what I liked about it. But it was a very simple game, essentially, because it was just a joystick game. There was a trigger, I believe. You were shooting. It's been forever since I played it. The other one that I just absolutely loved, God, was it 1942?
The war game where you're in a fighter jet?
Yeah. And it's like the top scroller.
Yeah.
And then you could change planes, and it was like they would fire multiple weapons, and hit multiple targets, and that was a fun one. Galaga as well. I remember playing Galaga a lot.
Galaga was a big one. Were you into Double Dragon?
Okay, I was into Double Dragon when I was playing it at home.
Okay,
because I never really played it in the arcade.
Yeah, that was an arcade staple.
Yeah, but it was like, for me, it was like Nintendo.
Okay.
That's when I was into Double Dragon.
Yeah. No, I enjoyed it on the Nintendo, and I want to say that's the only place, might have been the only place where we had sequels.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But we had Double Dragon, the original, and it was like, even the cabinet was just this kung fu paradise. And it was just funny because I remember, even as a kid, I'm watching it, because you remember, if no one's on the console, it kind of just plays itself.
Yeah.
For just like a reel.
Right.
And I happen to turn around and I'm looking, and it's like some guy he just punches out some hooker and then drags her off, and that's the game. You're like,
yeah.
Am I am I supposed to be saving
supposed
the
to be watching?
hooker?
Yeah.
And it was hilarious to me because, the game starts and I'm like, are we going to war with the city because they punched a hooker out? It just seems so seedy and kind of weird, but it was like, okay,
All right, let me throw another one at you. See if you played Golden Axe.
Golden Axe.
Yeah.
Let me look it up real quick.
Okay, look it up. That was right up there with my TMNT Final Fight.
TMNT, that was a fun one. I did that one a lot. If I'm not mistaken, is that the same one where you're in the burning building? And that was a fun arcade game. And being a huge Ninja Turtle fan at the time, it was just a blast. That was a great game. I'm looking at Golden Axe right now. I don't think I played this.
Really?
No. I mean, it looks familiar, but I don't think I played this one, dude. It's got kind of a Deathstalker look to it here. Yeah, no. Oh, holy shit. Hold on. I've got an image of the side of it with the Conan the Barbarian looking dude.
Yeah.
I remember this, but I never played it.
Never played it.
Because I remember this design on the side of it.
Yeah.
And I think that one, the only place I ever saw it was in Cedar Point at Sandusky.
Okay.
The arcade at the amusement park.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I ever saw it up by me at any of my haunts. But what was that? So what was that one more about? Was it just like a swords and sorcery kind of deal? Okay.
Yep.
What's the one that you always see? They always show it on Stranger Things and shit, but it would look like a Disney movie that you're playing and you're a knight. I don't remember the name, but it looked literally like you were playing an animated movie. It didn't look like your typical arcade game. Because I know it's in Stranger Things, and they kind of make a big deal of it. Dragon's Lair.
Okay.
That one I used to see around, and it was just, to me, it was fascinating because it just looked like a Disney movie. That type of animation. And I'm like, this almost looks too smooth and cool to be an arcade game. Because all the other arcade games, it's pixelated and, it looks cooler than
it was
what you had at home.
Right? It was
but it was a straight up cartoon. And it looked like, I was like, you're playing a fucking cartoon. This is kind of dope. But I never played it.
No.
But I'd see that one around. Another one in the same vein as the Ninja Turtle one was the Simpsons arcade game.
Great.
Fucking loved it. You just run around town beating the shit out of people.
Yep.
It made no sense.
Yep. Did you ever play Contra?
That was an NES game for me.
Okay.
Contra and Super C. ABACABB. Is that the blood code on Mortal Kombat? I'm trying to think. There's the Capcom code that's up, down, left, right.
Yeah.
But no, I fucking loved Contra and Super C, but I never played them at the arcade. Another one that always stood out to me, because it was just so horrifying, was Ninja Gaiden, where if you lost, the ninja's strapped to a table saw. Yeah. Oh my God, pop in a quarter, he's going to die. And I'm like, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
Because he's going to be sawed in half,
That was right up there with Shinobi.
Oh, I remember that one too. Yeah. No, those were cool. Those were cool games. I played there was only one time that I played a game for so long that me and my brother drew a crowd because people were like, look how far they got. And it was Aliens, the actual Xenomorph James Cameron Aliens. And you played either as Ripley or Hicks. And you just level to level, just blowing the shit out of aliens.
Was it like a side-scroller game?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. But it was based off of primarily the second movie.
Okay.
And I want to say we got all the way up to the Queen.
Wow.
And we had a cup, your pizza joint cup full of quarters. Nobody was get the fuck off, you've been on it. But no, we had people around us fuck yeah, here, take my quarter.
Yeah.
Because they just wanted to see us keep going. And
but see, that's that wholesome time too.
It was,
because that's what's so cool.
People were just encouraging you to kick ass. And
there was also the point too where you could go up to a game and put your quarter on the machine while someone was playing. And it's I got next.
I got next, or I'll be the second player to use.
Yeah, and it's okay, cool. And you could walk away, and then it's just it's oh, I'm done, your game.
It was weird because you were, I know parents and myself, I'm guilty of this too. When you see your kid with their nose in their phone or the tablet or whatever. Yes, by nature of the cabinet, it's an isolated thing. Mm-hmm. It's just you in the game. But for some reason, the arcade felt so communal that you weren't just, it wasn't just you.
Right.
You weren't in your own little world, zoned out. People cheered you on, or they challenged you, or it was just a room where you and a bunch of other kids could geek out and play these games together.
Yeah. And it's weird. I never have any recollection of parents being in there.
Nope. Me neither.
Yeah.
Me neither, dude.
I never remember seeing a mom or a dad in there.
Unless they came in to get you because you're leaving.
That was it.
You know,
I don't remember them ever in there.
I mean, it's funny because you watch like, documentaries about Pac-Man or whatever, and it's always adults with like the porn mustache from the 80s and shit. So they were there, but when like you said, our memories, it was just a room full of people my age that were just there to kick ass and play some video games.
Yep.
And I loved it. I mean, I loved the cacophony of noise. Mm-hmm. It was, you could be playing a game and all of a sudden you're like, I just heard someone die in Pac-Man. You know what I mean? It was just little bits of stuff would come out at you. My mom's favorite game was Centipede.
Oh, really?
My mom was a Centipede chick.
That's a fun game.
She loved it, and I was always fascinated just by the ball because it wasn't a joystick, and it just felt real fluid, and it was just kind of a weird game to play to get used to, as opposed to the joysticks.
Yeah.
But yeah, my mom was a big Centipede person. I like Donkey Kong Jr. Did you ever play that one?
I loved it.
Where you're the little dude climbing vines and shit.
Yeah.
That was a blast. Of course, as we got older, Mortal Kombat became the one that everyone huddled around. Street Fighter. To me, when I think of arcades, I think of the simpler ones. Right. Your Donkey Kongs, your Zaxxon. One that I really liked, and I never saw it anywhere but Cedar Point. Did you ever hear of Lucky and Wild?
No.
Okay, Lucky and Wild was a car chase game.
Okay.
So it was set up like a racing game. Big screen in front of you. You and whoever you were playing with, you sit side by side, and there's a steering wheel on one side, and both sides have guns.
Okay.
And you put the quarters in, and basically you are two renegade cops, like Lethal Weapon, and I think your names are Lucky and Wild. That was the whole point. But the entire game is a car chase, and you're driving your car in a city street, veering around, you're up on the sidewalk, and at some point, you're driving through a casino.
Okay.
Or the mall, and you're smashing through windows and stuff, and the whole time you're trying to shoot the people in front of you.
I never heard of this.
It was so fucking cool, and I never saw it anywhere but Cedar Point.
Wow.
But it was called Lucky and Wild, and it was just so much
Do you know who made it? Because I know back in the day, Midway was
kind of the place to go.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find it here. Lucky and Wild video game. Here we go. It came right up. Namco.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
Yep, it was a Namco game, and the whole point was it was like Miami Vice or something. You hopped in this car and chased after.
It's pretty rad. So racing and shooter.
Yeah,
that's fucking cool.
But it wasn't like any other racing game where you stuck to the road. You were driving through buildings.
That's hilarious.
Jumping bridges, and it was literally just the best part of an action movie is you.
Yeah.
You're the one blasting through. I guess it came out in 1993.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a first-person racing shooter game for Namco.
That's badass.
And I only ever saw it in one place.
Yeah.
I always thought it was fucking cool, man.
That's very cool.
Thing is, I'm looking at this, and I don't think it ever made it to any kind of home port.
So it was just a cabinet?
I think it was just a cabinet game because... Yeah, I'm not seeing it made it to Nintendo or anything like that. It was just its own fucking thing.
Holy shit.
So it was rare no matter how you cut it. But yeah, like if you look at the poster, one cop is like in the suit and tie. The other cop looks like Roddy Piper.
Oh my God, that's fucking awesome.
He's got, like the muscle shirt and like a red bandana. And it was your Tango and Cash, Riggs and Murtaugh kind of thing.
That's cool.
And, I had a blast with it. I thought it was a fucking great game.
I remember we would go to Vegas and being too little to go on the casino floor.
Sure.
They had arcades, and they were all free play.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, because they're making their money elsewhere.
Exactly.
They don't need the quarters, buddy.
And I couldn't believe it. I remember staying in that arcade for like, I want to say it was like 14 hours.
Holy shit.
You know, and then like, you know, in Vegas, there's no windows, there's no clocks. You know,
no,
you lose track of time.
It's like that on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
That's
exactly.
You know.
And I remember coming out and looking for my family, and it was morning. You know, and I was like, holy shit. And it was full.
The arcade.
Like with kids, yeah. It was full, you know. It's like
the arcade was the babysitter that night.
It definitely was, you know. And it was just so rad that it was free play. Like that was fucking cool, you know.
What a way to keep them contained.
Yeah, no, they did. They fucking definitely did, man.
Before we move on to like, you know, when we started playing at home, are you aware of a horror game called Chiller?
Okay, wait a minute. I want to say I am.
It may be because of me. I don't know. And I know when I landed, I was wearing the t-shirt.
Okay.
I have a t-shirt of this. It was like I don't want to call it an Etsy thing, but it was like a private seller who was making these shirts because this game was notorious. If you found the cabinet to this game, you probably were the only person to play it. Basically what it was is the company was called Exidy, and they had done a death race game, which was already kind of notorious.
Okay.
And it was loosely based on the Corman flick.
Oh, okay.
You know,
wow.
Death
Cool.
Race.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you were getting points for, like, running people over and shit.
Oh, okay.
You know? So it kind of came with its own built-in notoriety because it was one thing to see it in a movie, but it was another to stand there and just outright kill people.
Right.
The guys who made Chiller are the same ones who did it, same company, and
I know what this game is.
it was a shooter game where the entire point was to obliterate people to bloody pulps.
It was a torture game.
Yes.
I remember this game.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like the first couple of levels, it's just like a dungeon with people strapped to like...
It's 80s, right?
Yes, 1986.
Okay. Yeah, I fucking remember this game.
Yeah, people were like, they were strapped to racks or guillotines, and the entire point, they're helpless. There's nothing to attack you in this game. You just have to shoot the shit out of these people. Like one of them, their head is in this vice. You just have to keep shooting the vice until you've smashed their head to pulp.
Yeah.
One guy's strapped to the wall with rats eating him. You just have to blow his guts out and obliterate his face. And it was so negatively received by parents and everybody that most arcades refused to carry it. And I guess they successfully marketed it, according to Wikipedia, third world countries.
Oh, shit. Okay.
So, like, here, they were like, no.
It was on Nintendo.
They did have a Nintendo port, but it was like, people bled like slime.
I remember.
Yeah, they really dumbed it down for Nintendo. And even that, I want to say, was not mass sold. I think it was just like a port, that they put together. The idea of this game just being so sadistic and so fucking gross, to me, it's almost like something you would find on the dark web or something. Because it doesn't seem like a product of its era. I know you remember the controversy behind Mortal Kombat.
Oh, yeah.
And all the digitized blood. And, Mortal Kombat was almost 10 years later. This fucking game, it had tits in it. There was a chick who was buried up to her waist, and her arms are wiggling around, and she's crying for help. You blow her shirt off to reveal her tits, and then you just take her apart. Boom, 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 until she's just a bloody pulp on the ground. And it was just, I'm looking at this game, and you could go on YouTube and watch the entire run. It's like a 15-minute game if you go through all 4 levels. But you can watch it, and I'm like, this is just wholesale slaughter. And I was like, holy fucking shit. We had like a torture porn arcade game. Yeah. If you look it up, like if you try to find one on eBay, it's ridiculous because it's like a holy grail. It was literally an arcade game that was banned from our country, essentially. And I just wondered if that was one you were familiar with or if we ever talked about it. I do have a T-shirt. It's a
That's
Chiller
fucking
T-shirt.
cool. Yeah. Only reason I knew about it is because when I worked at the video store, like I always talk about this lady that I worked with. She had sons, and they were older than me, but not quite as old as my brothers. So they were probably like 4 or 5 years older than me. You know, so like in the 80s, they were really aware of this shit, and they were into all the horror and the gore and all this kind of stuff. And I remember them talking about Chiller.
Oh, yeah. No shit.
Yeah. Because they had said wherever they were from that there was one in a pizza place.
Yeah.
And of course I had never saw it. You know, I never played it.
But how funny
Yeah,
that there
that's
was something
fucking
so
crazy.
So notorious for its time.
Yeah.
That it's like, it almost doesn't feel like a product.
That sounds like a
its
holy
era.
grail we got to try to get a hold of. Like at the new podcast studio in the cabinets, I think that should be on the shelf. That would be a cool piece to have in there.
Really fucking cool.
Yeah.
Man.
So if anyone has one, just send it to us. Thanks.
Yeah, just because you're a fan.
We'll give you something. We'll trade.
You want some stickers?
Yeah. What do we got? We got World of Death DVDs.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we got some World of Death.
We got Welcome to Hell.
Yeah.
DVDs.
I'm sure you got a Chillerama around here somewhere for 99 cents.
I do.
So obviously, I want to say I kind of bypassed the Atari era. I played Atari.
Mm-hmm.
I played Pitfall, Pong, but I was more of an NES kid. What about you?
I played Atari.
Okay.
I loved Outlaw on Atari.
Mm-hmm. Did you love E.T.?
No. I didn't.
Did you bury yours in the desert?
I didn't. Yeah,
I love that whole story.
I remember the story's great, but I remember getting the game. I remember getting E.T. Where my dad worked, they had a store on the property.
Yeah.
And it was like a charge store. So you could go in, kind of give like a card or whatever, and then they would just like take it out of his check, kind of a thing.
Gotcha.
And for some reason they had it in there.
Yeah, I mean, it made its rounds for a minute.
Yeah, and so, he had got it for me. And
I've got a copy of E.T. from Atari.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I mean, I still got the one.
The one that your dad got you? No shit.
Yeah, and so, yeah, I remember like putting it in and so excited.
Yeah.
And literally after like 15 minutes, I was so sad. Because I was like, I don't understand what's going on.
Well, it was a good early example of how a video game made from a movie is really just a cash grab for the title. Because E.T. was a phenomenally stupid game.
Yes, it was.
It's notoriously bad. Like, did you ever play Halloween for Atari?
Okay, so I didn't have it, but my friend had it.
Did he?
Yeah.
Okay. Because that's a hilarious game.
Yeah, it's another one of those ones where it was just a cash grab.
It was.
Because it made zero fucking sense.
Well, the only thing about it did have the Halloween theme, which it played into the ground. And I loved that you didn't kill anybody necessarily. You just like popped their head like a balloon. And they'd run around with their neck squirting, which was hilarious to me.
Yeah.
There was the same company put out Texas Chainsaw. I think they were Wizard Games, right?
I think so.
Based on the VHS distributor. And basically, as Leatherface, it looked like you were running around with like your dick sticking out. But that was your chainsaw.
Yeah.
And that was another one that was like is this even
so funny?
Is this even Texas Chainsaw? What am I doing?
Yeah.
I don't know. There's fences. That's it. I mean, I just didn't understand it. But no, I grew up more the Nintendo era.
There was a cool Atari game that I played, and it's like, looking back, it's like, God, what a fucking piece of garbage. But at the time, I was like, this is so much fun. And it's like, even hearing the sounds and shit again, but it was called Haunted House.
I have that.
Oh, with like the ghosts and the bats, and there was like, for some reason, like a big, I don't know what it was, but it looked like a meatball.
Yes.
And I'm like, but it was
with
so much.
Eyes?
Yeah, with eyes. Yeah, but it was like so much fun. I remember playing that one.
That's a weird game.
It is a very weird game. But I did do the Atari thing, because there was this game called Kaboom, where there was like a masked bandit that would drop bombs, and you had the other joystick. Because remember, Atari came with two, the stick, and then it came with a paddle.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there was a button on the side of the paddle, and you could turn it.
That sounds familiar.
And there was like 3 stacks of barrels, and they had water in them, and you were just kind of like turning the barrels to catch the bombs that
No
the guy
shit.
and he would. It would start slow, and he would drop a couple, and you would just like boom, 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 catch them.
Yeah.
But each level would get faster.
Sure.
Where he was just like dropping bombs like crazy, and then like each time one would would hit the ground, you would lose one of the barrels. So you had started with 3, then you had 2, and then there was 1, and it was just almost fucking impossible.
You've got more ground to cover.
Yeah. Like I played that one a lot. Missile Command was fucking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was fun on Atari. I mean, we had a lot of Atari games. Because again, you know, having older brothers, I was lucky that they were getting all this shit, and it was like I had everything.
Yeah.
For that reason. Like, I felt like I figured if we were all the same age, I probably would have never got all the shit that I did.
Sure.
You know, because they were like getting everything.
You really benefited from the trickle-down effect.
I really did. I really did. Yeah. And then again, it was like, yeah. And then when Nintendo dropped, I remember family members like doing deals with people in the parking lots of price clubs because they weren't available, and they were like,
they sold out like
everyone,
crazy.
you know, I was like screaming and yelling, I have to have a Nintendo.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like I remember our moms like buying them out of the trunk of a car, like in the parking lot of a price club, and paying like 4 times the amount.
Oh, just getting gouged.
Yeah, you know, but it was like anything to shut these fuckers up. Like, I'm going to get this thing.
We were
you know?
rabid about Nintendo.
Yeah.
I
I was hooked on a crazy fucking Nintendo game haul. It was almost like me and my brothers were buying everything. It didn't matter what it was. We were buying everything.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it was so much fun. You know, Nintendo was game changer, pun
It
intended.
was. It really was.
Like,
I mean, it was it's something as simple as Super Mario Brothers, and the theme was just so enchanting.
Do you have a favorite out of the 3?
Yeah, 3. Dude, I think Super Mario Brothers 3 is one of the greatest games ever made, period.
It is.
It's so layered, so colorful, so tricky, and there's so many hidden Easter eggs and things you can do. The flutes, the fucking... What was it, the 3rd level of the first world where you duck on a white block and then fall behind the foliage, and that alone got you a flute, you know, and you could transport to other worlds. And there's a giant world, there's an ice world. It was just everything you loved about the Mario Brothers games up to that point just kicked into the air, you know, and to me, I've done this before where I've worked home remotely and just didn't really have anything to put on to just listen to or whatever. I remember I put on a quote-unquote long play. You can go on YouTube and watch long plays where it's literally the entire game level by level, mostly with no commentary. It's just someone playing it, giving it a perfect run, beginning to end. I remember just putting on Super Mario Brothers 3 and just working while listening to my childhood. You know, whether it was the music of the level or the sound effects of jumping, and I got lost in, it's not even like a soundtrack. It's just noises.
It's just noise.
And it's like a comfort blanket. It's so fucking
weird. And you could
weird.
probably almost know where Mario was.
Yes.
Just from hearing it.
Oh,
just from counting the jumps and the noise.
I don't have to look, and all of a sudden I'm like, you're in the level where the sun literally tries to kill you. You know, you got to run through like sand tornadoes. And it was just so much fun. And one of the things I loved about Mario 3 was that was right smack dab in the middle of like the Nintendo Power magazine craze, where you were getting magazines that literally showed in detail the maps and the hidden places to go and the codes you could punch in. And it was just so fucking cool, and such a renaissance of digital creativity, you know. And it was, to me, there's nothing, as cool as games are now, they're practically movies. There's just something so simple and fun about those old ones. And I know I'm dating myself big time by saying it, but it's like I really loved the simplicity of those games.
Yeah, me too. I'll be honest with you. I stopped collecting consoles at Super Nintendo.
That's further back than even me.
Because I never did the GameCube.
No, me neither.
You know, I never did that. I mean, I did do a Dreamcast.
I didn't mess with that.
I did do Sega CD.
I
never did Sega Saturn.
No, I didn't even do CD. I did Genesis, which was a blast. That was probably the last gasp of cool video games of that quality, because I was a big Sonic the Hedgehog fan and all that stuff. But PlayStation, I got into a little bit. Loved playing hockey with my dad, my brothers. I was a big Tomb Raider fan.
Okay.
That appealed to the Indiana Jones in me, where I'm like, hey, I get to run around temples and find treasure. What's it called? Metal Gear Solid. Mm-hmm. That was fun. Stuff like that. Crash Bandicoot.
Twisted Metal.
PlayStation 2, though, where it was obviously a better platform, a better console. I still stuck with my Tomb Raiders. You know, I think I got a couple of Simpsons games, a couple Mortal Kombats. I didn't really go nuts, but I could tell the writing was on the wall by that point where I was like, these are getting too complicated.
Really?
For me.
You ever Xbox?
We do have an Xbox, but my kids play it. I don't fuck with it. I watch movies on it.
I have the original Xbox. I have 2.
We have the Xbox One.
Okay. Well, no, I mean, I have 2 of the Xbox, the original, the first gen.
Right. No,
I have the black one, and then I have the Halo edition.
Okay.
Because I was a huge Halo fan.
Halo was a big deal. I never really got into. I played Halo more in high school on computers.
Okay.
Like, people would put together these network things, and I'd be squaring off against other people playing live. No, I didn't go much further than PlayStation 2.
Okay.
And even that was like, if it wasn't a Tomb Raider game, I was buying stuff like the Evil Dead games that were coming out that Bruce Campbell did narration for.
Yeah.
I was a big fan of like Duke Nukem. You remember Duke Nukem?
Yes.
Such a guy's game. Doom, of course, the
Fantastic.
Doom games. But I was realizing at that point that I think I'm aging out.
Really?
Because I just didn't have the patience. I didn't have the time. And I'm going to be honest with you, I think the last video game I ever played before I hung it up and just gave it to my kids was a Castlevania game for PS2, which was beautiful. It was gothic. I loved the soundtrack, but it was just so fucking hard. And I was like, this isn't the Simon Belmont Castlevania I was used to, where I'm just running around whip cracking shit, you know. It was just hard. It was difficult. And it was, I remember the day that it was a jump. There was a jump that I had to make where in order to reach a certain ledge, I had to jump, whip crack against this wall, and pivot backwards to land. It was just this weird fucking acrobatic shit. And however I saved it was like I didn't have enough life, and I just kept dying.
Okay.
And losing my continues and all this, and I'm like, I'm fucking done. I think I'm just done. I can't do this anymore. And I was done with video games.
Wow.
I really was. I was just, and it wasn't like I was so frustrated, fuck video games. It was just, I felt myself realize, I don't think I get this anymore. I don't think I have the dexterity I used to, or maybe it's just so complicated that, you know, I didn't have the patience for. I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
But it was like I wanted to keep going because I loved the game and I really enjoyed playing it. But I got to a point where I was just like, I think I'm done.
Yeah.
I think I'm done. I don't know what to do anymore. And it just, even from there, my brother Josh or whatever, he'd get the PS3 or the whatever the fuck. I don't even know what we're on now. Mm-hmm. But I'd watch him play like Uncharted, these amazing adventure games and stuff like that. And I would just watch because I didn't have an urge or an inkling to want to play, but it was like, I could see that this was complicated. Mm-hmm. And there's like even more buttons than when I quit. You know, there's triggers and all kinds of shit. And I was just kind of like, I'm not part of this world anymore.
Wow.
I aged out. I'm no longer a part of this.
Yeah.
And it was kind of sad. It was kind of sad coming to that realization. Like, technology has finally left me behind.
Well, maybe when I get to the new house, because me and my son have this plan.
Okay.
Of we want to set up a game room that just has all the games from like the 2600 to the NES.
Oh, you're talking about
to the Dreamcast.
Just covering the gamut.
We want to do that. And then like we've been researching on like system selectors, and that way they're all hooked in and put together. Because I mean, I have all these games still. Like I have all these systems. You know, like I never got rid of anything.
No shit.
You know, so it's like I have all the ones, like, you know, like from the PS1 to the PS5.
Oh, wow.
You know, like, because in this.
That's impressive.
Yeah, we have them all. Like, I think there's like 2 or 3 PS5s in the house right now.
No shit.
You know, so it's like I didn't age out. It was just a time thing. And then it was like essentially, I got annoyed that you have to download this game. I can't just put in a cartridge and turn it on and play.
I don't like that either.
I have to download this game, and it takes like an hour and a half before I can even fucking play.
Yeah, whereas
that's annoying.
When we were kids, it was instant gratification.
Exactly.
You just popped it in and hit the power button.
That's what annoys me.
You were ready to rock.
Yeah, that shit annoys me. But
yeah, I don't like that much either.
Because one of my all-time favorite games on the PS3 that we would literally play every day for no less than 3-4 hours a day was Call of Duty Black Ops.
Okay.
And we would play online, and it would be like me out here in the loft, my son in his room, my cousin, my brother at his house, and we were all on the same team.
Yeah.
And we had our headsets, so we were all talking to each other, and it was just like a fucking blast.
Yeah.
It was funny because, we had our own clan, and we were like really kicking ass. And it's like, my son was so good at it that it was like, he would brag and be like, I'm not going to use a gun this time. I'm just going to use a knife.
Because he's just gotten so
He's just that good. It was just so much fun that, me and my cousin are still like, man, we want time to kind of slow down a little bit, the schedule, so we can play again. We all want to get online and do that shit again, because I do enjoy video games. It's like my daughter has a Switch, my other kids have a Switch. And what I love about the Switch, because I have the OLED, the one that has the bigger screen, I have all these downloads on it that I got from Nintendo, and I have an NES, I have a Sega Genesis, a Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, Super Nintendo, and all the games that go with it.
The old shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, what's cool about the Switch is it comes with this little base where you can hook it up to your TV. So you take the controllers off the side of it and slide the system into this console, and then now you can play on your TV, and you have like 2 controllers. So,
oh, wow.
It's like it's a system, and, you take it with you wherever you go.
Sure.
But I feel like the Switch, even though there's lots of games that the kids are into, there's lots of games for the Switch that I have that, like I have Ghostbusters, where all the guys are doing the voices.
Oh, yeah, I've got that.
Yeah, I have that.
That was an Atari game, too.
Yeah, yeah.
Like modern Atari.
Right.
That's pretty dope.
Yeah, like Tony Hawk Pro Skater has all those are on there. Like the Ninja Turtles, I think it was like the Namco Gallery, where there's all these old Namco games.
I think my kid has that.
Okay. Yeah. So, I still play the Switch.
See, that's cool, though, the Call of Duty thing, where you're like, again, it's communal.
Exactly.
It's not the arcade, but you're still getting that co-op with people. I remember I was playing a game, and I was co-opted with a bunch of people, and we had this really good plan of attack for what we were doing. And then some fucking guy runs out and goes, "Let's do this, Leroy Jenkins." And he fucked it up for everybody. I don't know why you're laughing. We were all so mad. I'm kidding. That is just a viral video that I claimed I was a part of. No, I the closest I've come to that was in high school playing Halo.
Okay.
Where we were all patched in, and it was that computer class I told you I took where the teacher was pretty much just like, do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
So it was like a dozen of us in this classroom. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, and the guy sitting next to me was just like, "Oh, it's like Doom. You just run around, and we're all just trying to kill each other." It was like a free roam type of thing, and I really enjoyed that. That was pretty cool. But that was a long fucking time ago.
Yeah.
I think now that I have played video games with my son. My son is a huge gamer. My daughter used to be. It's tapered off a little bit, but Jake he plays a lot of video games, and when I play with him, when he wants me to play with him, it's usually like whatever Mortal Kombat or like DC Injustice, where they're just button basher fighting games. I'm not particularly good at any of them, but I don't have to think. I just have to punch and kick, and I have fun with that, and that's what I can do with him. But when he's like, "Do you want to play like Arkham Asylum or something, and I'm like, I'm intimidated by this shit. I
love Arkham Asylum.
They're beautiful games. I mean,
you're gonna have to bring Jake out because we're gonna have a fucking field day
for sure
playing games because we'll play.
Yeah,
we'll definitely play.
And that's the thing. I get lost in the visuals. I think these are beautiful fucking games. I mean, these are like cinematic. I like just watching, but I've seen him play these games, and I'm watching his fingers go, and I'm just like, there's no fucking way. There's no fucking way I can do this.
We're also huge Red Dead Redemption fans.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like my son...
My brother's big into those.
And my son and my daughter, they'll do story mode. And they'll do everything.
To me, that's the only way to do it.
And it's awesome. You know, it's like...
I like being part of the plot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so cool. And I just... Man, those... I remember when I first... played Red Dead Redemption, it's like I have never played a game with a land this vast.
Oh, it's crazy.
Where it was open land and you're literally riding forever.
Yeah.
To where you even have to freshen your horse.
There's no Truman Show wall that you bump into. It's just, this is the world, you know. No, it's really impressive. I feel the same way looking at Uncharted. I think it's the fourth one where you're driving a Jeep through like a Persian town being chased by a tank that's trying to kill you. It goes from the Jeep to like the fucking, like a train onto like trucks, and then it's a motorcycle chase. Like it's this non-stop single take of you just like a relentless action sequence.
That's crazy.
And I'm watching this like, this is so fucking cool.
Yeah.
You know, and it's almost like, I remember when Tom Holland, the kid, and Mark Wahlberg, they did the Uncharted movie. And I remember thinking, even as someone who's not a gamer anymore, who's just watched these games, I'm like, this is never going to live up to how fucking cool these games are. Because these games are just balls out action. And it's like, you know, I wound up seeing the movie and was just like, okay, it was cute. It was fun. You know, it's hard not to get swept up in adventure.
It is.
But it was nothing compared to these games. I mean, the creativity and the detail, and it's just so fucking cool, man.
Yeah.
So don't get me wrong. I may not be a part of that world anymore, but I respect it, and I really can appreciate the work that goes into these games, because this is... You're not scaling ladders and jumping over barrels anymore. You know, this is like you're playing a movie in a world that is incredibly vast, like you said, and realistic almost to a fault, you know, and it's just, it can only get more and more realistic before we're literally, like we see in like Star Trek or something, we're standing in the game. I mean, we already have the headsets.
Yeah, it's definitely here.
But it's just, I feel like it's only going to get to a point where you're in the game and now you can feel the breeze and the air and you could smell zombies, and you know, it's just, the sky's the limit.
You know, there's a great game that I played and everyone fucking hated it, but I loved it on Xbox, called The Road to Fiddler's Green.
Romero's.
Yeah.
It was Land of the Dead.
Yeah.
Yes. I never played it.
Fucking awesome. Scary. Because you're like walking through fields and you're in abandoned houses, and
why'd people trash it?
Because it just wasn't their cup of tea.
Which is weird, because you'd think it would fit right in with...
No, because it wasn't running and gunning, fast paced, blowing shit up. You had to think. You had to think.
No shit. Okay.
Yeah.
So it wasn't comparable to like your Resident Evils or anything?
I don't know. No, not at all. It was very reality based.
Okay.
Survival.
Okay.
Gathering supplies and finding weapons, you know, and like surviving.
Yeah.
You know, I thought it was great. I still own it. Like, I thought it was great.
Was Romero involved in that game's development or no?
Yeah.
Was he?
Yeah.
Okay. I knew it was based on it, but I didn't know how much input he had. To that end, I mean, we could probably do an entire episode on these, but horror video games like Silent Hill and Fatal Frame and stuff like that.
Maybe we should.
We could.
Maybe we should.
Those are fucking scary.
I think we should then.
There's some really fucking scary games.
I think it would be a good follow-up, you know?
Okay.
I do, because this was fun. I definitely got to relive some moments that I forgot about.
Yeah.
Because I drive by that bowling alley all the time when I go to Temecula. And I'm like, man, it was in there. And it's not even a bowling alley anymore. It's like a thrift store now.
No shit.
Yeah.
Isn't that sad?
It is very strange,
It's a bummer to see that.
It is. It's very strange. But, the building's still there and the memories still hold true because I used to, get there, go over to a deli and get like a New York seltzer and like a sandwich and then go over to the arcade. And I would spend a couple hours in the arcade.
Loved it, man.
Yeah, it was a blast.
Such a staple of my childhood. Such core memories.
No, it was fun. It was a good topic. I'm glad you brought that up.
No, that was cool. That was fun. And I like that we even teed up another one.
We did, and I'm excited about that because there's a bunch. Maybe we can go into a little more in depth on the chiller too. And
oh yeah, yeah, chiller's really something, man.
Yeah, hell yeah. Because there's even some dark ones that were like fan made that were. Put out.
There's
that
a
were
couple.
Pretty hardcore.
Yeah, there was one I discovered not too long ago, a Christmas horror game.
Hell yeah, yeah.
Fucking cool.
Let's do that. Cool. All right. Well, fucking another great show in the books, I think.
Awesome.
Don't forget, guys, if you have chiller, just send it our way.
Yeah, please.
And you'll get a chillerama.
It's not an even trade, but it's a trade.
It's definitely not an even trade.
It's a trade that happened.
Okay. Well, until next time.
See you guys.